A do do do, a do do do, a do baby. I think Dave is the master of springing things upon people. So I'm not too surprised that he gives me a slash to continue with. I'd say creative being, teacher / creative being, even though I find teaching is a very, very much a creative outlet for me. I think it's very important for people to have a creative outlet of some sort, to engage with themselves and other people in rich ways. So that's my thing. Okay, my letter. I don't know if you are still here in the form in which I knew you, but even if you are, and if I had the opportunity, I would not want to see you right now. What you were for me, but you cannot be any longer. It's gone, and I'm sorry and sad that this has happened, because even now, 20-odd years after I last saw you, the memory of you and the experiences that you gave me still inform and guide me. I feel the need to say that you were, because of what you are now is not what you were for me and my family. So let me share what you were. You were the place that nurtured my family. After my grandfather finished his stint during World War II, he took the option of the soldier settlement plan, and he was granted a parcel of land just over the hill from where he grew up at Jerry's Plains. And so this is where you and my family first find ourselves on this journey. So this man, Ted Wild, walks upon you, and he sets about eking out a living as a dairy farmer. I'm sure that you are or were much more untamed at this time, long before I ever set eyes on you with your fence paddocks, dirt tracks, and corrugated iron sheds. I would love to have spoken with my grandfather and asked him about his experiences. I'm sure that you witnessed his true self in a way that many did not. You knew his moments of despair, the challenges, dreams, doubts, and his weaknesses. I'm sure there were times that he both cursed and rejoiced in you. Your spaces would have been both a solace and a thorn for him. And then you were the place where my father grew up. I gained some insights into what his childhood and youth may have been through hearing occasional stories from my aunts and uncles and discovering remnants of their youth in cupboard drawers, shelves on the veranda, and fossicking around through the garage and sheds. And when I was old enough, I knew that the experiences I was given by my family echoed some of the elements of their own youth. I was only a baby when I first visited you, and by that time my grandparents had moved back to town, and so my grandfather, Dad, and his brothers would take turns to go out and do the milking and take care of all the other work that was required on the farm. But I grew up visiting your soil, and I came to love all that you offered. My visits to you would often begin with my father waking me up at 4:30 in the morning, and we'd jump in the car. Sometimes we'd swap cars at my grandparents' place and jump into the blue Kingswood station wagon that had the aroma of oil, tobacco, hay, and leather, and I came to love that smell. We would arrive in the dark, and the first visions of you were in the transitional phase between night and day as we rounded up the cattle for morning milking. You gave me experiences that connected me to country. I witnessed the changes in season and learnt the ways in which this directed how we engaged with you and the cycles of the natural world, set different demands on what we needed to ensure that the multiple and varied needs of the farm were met. My experiences with you were characterized by time spent with my dad. You were the place where we would spend time together, him guiding me through a series of life experiences, such as learning to drive motorbikes, tractors and cars, and passing through the rites of passage of the dairy, beginning with shoveling manure to feeding cattle and then preparing them for milking. You were the environment in which I served an apprenticeship of sorts, being led upon the journey from boy to man. My connection with you was essentially severed when my dad had his accident. He was no longer able to walk, and getting around the farm in a wheelchair is not easy, so he didn't visit you anymore. With Dad unable to help out and my grandparents growing older, a goodbye was looming. The end came in the form of a coal mine that was over the hills to the east, and it had been consuming the small farms in the area, much like the nothing from the never-ending story. And so that was it, bought out by the mine. The last time I walked on your earth was when my auntie took me out, not long before the sale. It felt done, a resignated sense that the period was complete. I tried to visit you a couple of times since then when I was out that way, but the flood had damaged the wooden bridge and wasn't repaired for a long time, only to be damaged again in the next flood. And then the mine put a steel gate across the road, and that was it. You were gone. The last time I was talking to Dad about you, he said that the mine had dug you up. And that is why I say I don't know if you are there anymore. You have been ripped open, and I'm unsure if any essence of the place that you were still is. My last significant moment with you was inspired by the spirit of the Wanneroo people, the people of the hills and plains, who you would have known as they were your custodians for many years. I was fortunate enough to be encouraged by a local elder to visit Wyoming's cave, and as I did, I realised that this creative spirit looked out over you. I felt disheartened to know that you and your landscape had been reduced to a commodity with no respect or acknowledgement given for what you held. But the timeless gaze and wisdom that was held in that cave gave me insight into a patience and forgiveness that I had not as yet discovered. I'm grateful that I was ever blessed to know you for all of a blink in the eye of eternity. But the earth endures, and you are my first connection to that earth spirit. So I thank you, and you will live on. Thanks.